Hello, hello, everybody. YouTube. I am Claudia Mühlenweg. I am the creator of the Natural Clear Vision method of vision improvement. And this is my show, Clear Vision Wednesday. And we are live here today with a super special guest. Oops. So I'm going to make sure I turn the sound on YouTube off. Sorry, I had that on. And we will dive deep into a modality called human design. Actually, let me bring her on. Julie, I don't like to read bios. I always think it's so much more interesting when you actually share a little bit about yourself first.
Okay. Well, hello and hello, everybody. And Claudia, thank you for this opportunity for me to share my passion with the world. And my passion is human design. I'm a teacher, artist, and guide. And my role, my purpose is to awaken people to the truth of who they are. And I do that using a system called human design, which we're going to use or take a look at today, and self-expression, contemplation, all to encourage creativity. And creativity, yes, being art, music, dance, and all of those things, but more than anything, creativity being a unique perspective.
That's so interesting. Yeah, we met at an event last fall and we immediately clicked because you were coming to me like, how do I get, my eyes, you tell them a little bit about your vision journey before we get into human design.
Well, yeah, we were at a workshop and my eyes were driving me crazy. We were sitting in a hotel room and it was dry and all of those things. And you and I passed by each other and I'm like, my eyes are driving me crazy. And you just happened to be the eye lady, the vision lady. And it was such a synchronistic encounter, meeting. And as I was preparing for this call today, thinking about our journey together, it really has been a journey of human design and what we're going to talk about. It's been about trust. It's been about not fighting the current and going with the flow. We've had lots of opportunities to connect and life kept happening, but neither of us got curmudgeon-y. Both of us just trusted that it was going to happen when it was meant to happen. And today it's a new moon for people that are interested in that. And there's just a lot of alignment and synchronicity that's going on this very day. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share what I love so much and what's changed my life with you and anybody who's watching.
Awesome. So what the heck is human design? Tell us.
Okay. So I like to teach at the level of a fourth grader because my mom thinks at a level of a fourth grader. Human design to me is like astrology on steroids. It is a synthesis of all of the ancient systems, the Kabbalah, the I Ching, the chakra system, astrology, and quantum physics. And if none of that means anything to you, it's fine. But essentially what it is a tool that you can use that creates a blueprint, a genetic blueprint of how you're uniquely wired. And you can use this tool, this human design body graph, which we're going to look at, to have a deeper awareness of who you are at your core. And it gives you a tool to kind of navigate life, and it can show you why you are the way that you are. And it gives you tools and an understanding of how to get into alignment when you're off, because we come into this world and we become conditioned by life. And some of us are on track and on our journey, and some of us have gotten lost along the way. So human design is a tool that can help get you back into alignment and really help you create an awareness of who you are, how you're uniquely wired, and what your potential is.
Yeah, I find this so fascinating. I literally just learned a few basics, and I even did part of the certification, which is over a year long, and I still feel like I know so little. But just a couple of things like my authority and strategy, we'll talk about that, have already been so helpful for me to make decisions and just have more clarity about our topic is vision. And with vision, I really mean your purpose. Where do you want to be in life? And also, obviously, your clarity. That is also in the eyes, because that's all connected. So let's dive in. Let's
okay. All right. So I am going to pull up your human design.
I know now all the skeletons in my closet will be public on YouTube.
Well, it's so perfect. It's so perfect because it's just so perfect. It's
Can
just
you
so.
make it full screen? Like, is there a way to make it like screen?
Let's
I forgot to ask in the beginning where you just kind of make it a little bigger. We don't see the front.
oh,
There,
that's too.
yeah, perfect. That's
Hold
better.
on, hold on. Okay. All right. So what we're looking at here is a body graph. This is the tool that we're going to use for today's conversation. And my intention today is to give you an overview of what you're looking at, because most people don't have a clue of what they're looking at. And so if it gets you kind of curious and you want to go explore on your own, you can do that. If it gets you kind of curious and you want to go for a deeper dive, you will have the opportunity to do that as well. But I just want to give you kind of an overview of what it is that we're looking at. And in terms of today's conversation, we want to focus on purpose and we want to focus on vision. And the way that I'm going to introduce those two things really is through awareness and energy. So what we're looking at is Claudia's unique design. And the way that this body graph is created is through your birth information. So we ask for the time that you were born, AM or PM, the date that you were born, the year, the month, and then also the location that you were born, just like if you were to do an astrological chart. That information goes into a system. There's a number of different systems out there. I use genetic matrix. So if you've seen a human design chart, it may look like this, it may not. But essentially what happens is that information goes into this system, and then this body graph is created. And the system of human design was downloaded back in 1987, the year I graduated high school, by a man named Ra Uru Hu. And essentially, it was a voice. And this voice is what's created this beautiful system that we're looking at today. So there's layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers to the chart. And as Claudia said, she had started her certification. You will never be done learning human design.
Yeah.
Never be done. I will never be done learning human design, which is one of the reasons that I love it so much. I'm a seeker, I'm a searcher, and I want to know about myself, and I want more information, more information. Human design is an experiment, and this information is presented in a way that you get to experiment and explore and really hone in on what's correct for you. So when we look at the chart, on the right, we see all of these black squares, and we see the word personality. Essentially, what we're looking at on the right side of the chart is your astrological chart. This is the conscious side of who you are. This is your persona. This is how you identify with you. So this is an awareness. It's a conscious awareness of who you are. All of these little yellow symbols represent planets. And the stars. So this is personality, sun, the earth, north node, south node, moon. You don't need to know that for this conversation, but what you do need to know is that that symbol gives you a layer of information. So we have the conscious side of the chart, which is all of the black side of the chart. We have the design side of the chart, which is the unconscious part of who you are, the unconscious part of your design. And this is where the stars were 88 days before you were born. So essentially, this is you in your mommy's tummy. And this is you when you come out of your mommy's tummy and become conditioned by the environment. Because once we come into this world, we're impacted by our surroundings. So we have this conscious part of ourselves that really lives in the mind. It's the awareness of the mind. And then we have this unconscious side of ourselves, this inner knowing, this body wisdom. And human design isn't about living in the mind or living in the body. It's the awareness and the understanding of both, and that both exist. Okay, so we've got these black squares that represent the conscious side of the chart. We've got these red squares that represent the unconscious side of the chart. We've got these little yellow symbols that represent the planets, which gives us information. The planets carry with them a theme. And then we have these numbers. Now, the number before the decimal point is called a gate, another layer of information. And there's 64 gates in the human design chart. The number after the decimal point is called a line, another layer of information. There's 6 lines in the chart. Now, I'm not saying this to overwhelm you, but I'm saying this to let you know that there's layer after layer after layer. And when I use the word gate, I want you to be able to identify that it's a number. When we look at the gates, for example, this is gate 55. We look for gate 55 on the chart and we see it down here. We have 9 centers in a human design chart, and each center has a theme associated with it. So if we look at Claudia and she has gate 55 in the solar plexus, without even knowing what gate 55 is, I know that the solar plexus has something to do with emotion. So Claudia and her emotions are a huge, huge, huge part of who she is, and actually why she's here. Why she's here. Okay. So each one of these centers has a theme, and I'm going to go through these centers quickly so that you can get just a kind of a brief understanding of what these centers are. They're energy centers like the chakra system. And we have at the base, we have what's called the root. And the root is a pressure center. It's a formatting center. It has to do with an adrenaline pulse. It's what gets the entire chart moving, the circuitry moving. It has to do with security. It has to do with foundation. It has to do with stability. Over here, we have the spleen, which we're going to talk about more deeply today. The spleen is an awareness center. This center has to do with survival. It has to do with instinct, intuition. It's the oldest awareness center in the body graph. It also has to do with health and wellness. We move over to this pink square. This pink square is what's known as the sacral. This is the gas tank. It's a motor center. This is what makes Claudia a generator, and she's a manifesting generator, which is a generator on steroids, and we'll get to that too. But this center has to do with life force energy. It has to do with creativity. It has to do with sexuality, sensuality, life force, bringing things to life. It's a motor center, so it's energy, it's gas, and it's really important, just like a car, that we put the correct gas in our gas tank. Over here, we have the solar plexus. The solar plexus has to do with emotions. It has to do with feelings. We've got the heart center here, which has to do with courage, determination, will, stubbornness. Claudia's not going to back down. Claudia commits. She's driven and she's right. And to know that is a wonderful thing, because that's a gift of yours and it's how you're wired. She is determined and she is courageous and she is committed. We've got the G center here, which is also called the magnetic monopole. This is all about love. It's about identity. It's about purpose and direction. It's about self-love. And it's also the center of the chart, and it has unique features, which we're going to talk about today. We've got the throat center, which has to do with communication. It has to do with manifestation. Thoughts become things we express. We've got the Ajna center. The Ajna center is the computer processing center. The computer processing center, that's also an awareness center. But the center here has to do with a mental awareness. Down here, when we talk about the spleen, it has to do with an intuitive awareness. And when we jump over here to the solar plexus, it has to do with emotional awareness. And that's really going to be the root of the conversation that we're going to have today, because awareness is the first step in creating change in our lives. And then we have the head center. The head center is for ideas, it's for inspiration, it's where imagination lives. Okay. So far, so good. Are you following me?
Yep.
Okay.
Zoom.
Okay. So wherever a center is colored in, we call that defined. And what that means is that there's a consistency, a reliability, a fixedness within the theme of that center. So looking at Claudia's chart, she has a defined sacral. So she's going to have a consistent way that her energy shows up, a consistent way that she approaches her creativity, her sexuality. There's going to be a consistency, a fixedness in it. There's going to be a fixed or consistent way that she experiences emotions if she allows herself to experience emotion. There's going to be a fixedness in the way that she commits. This is the thing that keeps her driving force going. She's fixed, she's defined, she commits, she's in it. There's a consistency in the way that she shows up in the world, her identity, who she is, what her purpose is. There's a consistency in her ability to communicate, a consistency in the way that she processes information, and a consistency in the way that her ideas and inspiration download. So where we're colored in, it's called define. It means it's fixed. It means it's consistent. It means it's reliable. Where we're white in our chart, it's called undefined or open. And what that means is that that particular center, here we have the root and the spleen. In Claudia's chart, those two centers are undefined. And in human design, we're always searching for what we are not. So what that means is that the energy in these two centers is fluid and it's not consistent, and that it's filled in by the energetics of other people. Okay, this is a conversation around energy. It's a conversation around mechanics. We are always searching for what we are not, and wherever we have white in the chart, when we get together with the energy of another that has that or makes things defined in our chart, then we experience it. So the gift of having these undefined centers is that you gain wisdom, because when you come together with me, you feel my adrenaline pulse. When you come together with your daughter, you feel her energetics in terms of her root and her adrenaline pulse. It gives you wisdom. There's a variety pack. I often explain it as going into Baskin and Robbins and trying all of the flavors. You have wisdom about all of the flavors. It doesn't mean that you like them all, but you have wisdom. And if I go to you, Claudia, and say I'm going to Baskin and Robbins, you'll say, oh, you know what? I've had all the flavors. Do the peanut butter. Stay away from the mint. It gives you an awareness. It gives you an awareness. But the other thing that happens is oftentimes without that awareness, we become conditioned and think that who we are, our pace, our intuition or lack of intuition, we believe that that's who we are when it's not, because the energy is constantly flowing in and flowing out. And sometimes we grasp on because it's not consistent and we don't feel safe. So we get ourselves into situations or make choices that make us feel grounded, that make us feel secure when they're not necessarily good for us. And that's what this conversation is about. It's about the awareness. Okay. So we've got these centers, we've got these gates, we've got these lines, we've got these planetary symbols, all adding a layer to who we are and what it is that we're looking at. When we talk about life purpose in the human design chart, there's different areas that we can look at. And we start off with type. because type gives us information. And I'm not going to go big time into the type because I want to go into the awareness. But when we look at Claudia's chart, she's what's known as a manifesting generator. And what that means is that she has an aura. An aura is the energetic body that lives around us. An aura is the thing that we feel when we walk into a room and say, ooh, I want to go over there, without an exchange of words. It's an energetic awareness. When you're a generator or a manifesting generator, your aura is like a magnet. So people, situations, opportunities are constantly coming to you. And when we look at the human design chart, you'll see, let me move this. You'll see here that there's a word that says strategy. The strategy for a generator and a manifesting generator is to respond. These different auras give us a role, and these different auras give us kind of like an order of operations. So this was a big game changer for me. I'm a projector. My aura is very different than Claudia's aura. My aura goes like this. It goes right into a person. So when we were talking at the beginning of this call, I'm in the conversation. And when I'm done with you, then I'm moving over to this person. Claudia is designed to be able to do a gazillion different things at one time. She's a manifesting generator, which is like a generator on steroids. She can be on the chat. She can be looking at YouTube. She can have 20 million different projects going on, and it's correct for her. Claudia, do you identify with that?
Oh, yeah. I do sometimes have to like train myself to focus on one thing for a while because of the astigmatism connection, which you don't really know yet about, but 100%. That really helped me. The idea to respond was such a game changer for me. Instead of forcing something or blotting it out, it's like, like you said, let things come to me and then I respond to them. Was so helpful. Just that single thing was so helpful.
It's important. The other part that's important is that you are wired to do multiple things. Like it is in your genetic blueprint. And so if you don't understand that about yourself, then sometimes there can be an internal dialogue going on that I always have 20 million different things going on. I can't, when you're actually designed to do it as a manifesting generator. For me, doesn't work, not correct at all. For me, I penetrate. And so my strategy, different than the generator or manifesting generator, is to wait. It's to wait. And that was huge for me because I get excited. I love human design. I want to tell the whole world about it. I want to tell everybody because it's changed my life and it can change your life too. But with this aura that penetrates, if I'm not waiting for an invitation or waiting to get recognized, then that energetic aura is off-putting, even though the intention is correct. So in this relationship with Claudia and I, we had our conversation, but she invited me to do the show, which is the correct way for me to get engaged with other people and share the magic that I have and share something that I love because you recognized something in me. So it's a different conversation. Now, Claudia asked me at the beginning to share a little bit about what got me into human design. I was living in Los Angeles and I had a creative healing center that was based on good intentions and based on desire and based on creating opportunity for other people and based on all the good things. And it wasn't working. And it didn't make sense to me why it wasn't working. I would be on the mommy chats and I would be inviting people to the sound bowls and to the whatever. Nobody would respond. And I would have other friends that would say, hey, I'm going to a class to do the bar method. Who wants to come? And all the moms would respond. It didn't make sense to me. And I was walking out of a dance class and I was in the alley and I was talking to a friend, my teacher and mentor, Beth, where we met. And she said, I can help you. And we sat down and she introduced me to the world of human design. She introduced me to the fact that I was a projector. And that shook up my world like nothing else and got me back on track, because I'm not here to initiate and invite. My aura is not designed to do that. My aura is designed to be sparkly. My energy is designed to guide, but I must wait for the invitation before I do the thing. Otherwise, without even knowing it, I'm intrusive. I'm pissing people off, or I'm causing them pain out of my desire to help. So big game changer. So there's 4 different types in human design. There's the generator / manifesting generator, which is what Claudia is. Their aura is magnetic. Their strategy is to respond. Their role is to work. I'm a projector. There's projectors out there. Our aura is penetrating. We go deep into people's souls. I've always been able to see things and always have seen things that's very different than other people. Never necessarily shared my opinion or shared what I saw, but I always have been able to see. This is a big awareness for me. My strategy is to wait for an invitation, wait to be recognized before I share. Then we've got manifestors. Manifestors' auras are repelling, and they're here to get things going. They're here to initiate. So I kind of look at it as like a person being in a bubble, and they go into a room and their aura just pushes people away and they fall off to the side, fall off to the side, fall off to the side. They're very creative. They have an internal drive that just gets things going, and they're here to initiate and to make things happen. But if you don't know that they're coming, you fall to the side, you're in their way. And so their strategy is to inform. Just like you turn your light on when you're driving a car, you put the left blinker on, letting people know behind you that you're going into the left-hand lane. And then people can slow down, you can move over, and everything moves on easily and effortlessly. So their strategy is to inform. And then the last type is a reflector, like your daughter's boyfriend. Reflectors have a sampling aura, and they have to wait an entire moon cycle. They have to make an entire moon cycle in order to make decisions, because they sample. And the cool thing about a reflector, which it's very, very rare, only 1% of the population are reflectors. 70% are generators and manifesting generators. 20% of the population are projectors, and 9% are manifestors. 1%. When you're with a reflector, you're essentially in relationship with yourself, because they're reflecting back to you who you are. Very, very interesting.
And all the centers are white, which is so interesting.
All of their centers are white. So they experience all the different nuances. And they really have the wisdom to sense the culture, sense the health and wellness of the culture, the environment that they're in, because they feel it all. And when you feel it all, you gain wisdom. But if you don't have an awareness, if you don't have boundaries, if you aren't keyed in to how this works energetically, then you get pulled into things that are out of alignment and incorrect for you. So we have our types, which are the roles that we're here to play. The manifestors here to initiate. The generators and the manifesting generators are here to work. The projectors are here to guide the energy. And the reflectors are here to check in with the health and wellness of the community, the environment. We each have a decision-making mechanism. We're not going to go into that right now, but that's our authority. And Claudia is emotional. So we talked about the fact that her solar plexus is defined. We're going to look at Claudia more closely, because her Incarnation cross, which is the storyline of her life, is all about perspective of emotion. Glass half empty, glass half full. And the understanding of emotion and how it ebbs and flows, and how it ebbs and flows, and how it ebbs and flows, and that it's not good or bad, it's all of it. When you watch the water, when the moon gets full, the water becomes bigger and more, the waves in the ocean become stronger. And then they calm down. Emotions are like water, they ebb and flow. And when you're emotionally defined, like Claudia, who has a life purpose that really is emotional wisdom and perspective on emotion, that's really what she's here to share with us and to learn about on her own personal journey. Okay. So we've got an authority, which is the decision-making mechanism. For Claudia, it's about understanding her emotions. And she's really designed to ride the nuances before she makes a decision. There's a lot of waiting in human design. Wait for the invitation, wait to respond, wait before you make a decision. Because when you're emotionally defined, today you're going to move to Germany. Tomorrow you're like, oh no, I
That's so true.
moving, right? And it goes high and low, and it goes high and low, and it will never stop ebbing and flowing. But there will come a time when there's a sense of calmness, maybe not full calm, where you can learn to make a decision and not react, but respond. Okay. There's a whole lot more, and that incarnation cross has to do with these 4 squares at the top of the chart. Okay. This is where we go deeper into who you are and what your life purpose is. It can be found in the chart, and it can be found by really going deeply into the symbolism, meaning, and impact of these 4 squares. Okay. So life purpose can be found in the chart. And we talked about that. But what this conversation is about more than anything is about vision and dreams, vision, being aware. And we can use the human design chart for awareness, which, like I said before, is the beginning of creating transformation. It's the beginning of making those visions come true. Because if we're out of alignment with the truth of who we are, energetically, emotionally, then those visions and dreams are going to have a harder time coming to fruition. Okay. So we're going to look briefly at these 3 awareness centers, because these 3 awareness centers give us a ton of information. Now, I spoke about the fact that this is the spleen and that this is an intuitive awareness. Within each one of the awareness centers, the spleen, intuitive awareness, the ajna, mental awareness, and the solar plexus, emotional awareness. Each one of these numbers, which is called a gate, we all have all of the gates in our chart. Some of them are fixed, defined. We talked about that. Some of them are active and consistent, and others are fluid and flexible, but we all have all of the chart. In our awareness centers, each one of these gates is associated with a fear. And each one of these gates is associated with a gift. So when we talk about awareness, and we talk about vision, and when we talk about alignment in human design, one of the biggest gifts of the human design chart is that it creates awareness. But the only way out of a situation that you're not happy with is to go in and understand what's going on. And when we look at these awareness centers, we have information that can give us insight into our patterns and what these emotions and intuitive instincts and mental anxiety, what it's really trying to tell us. Because ultimately, fear is a motivator. Fear is to make us aware that we're out of alignment. Fear is what can put us into action. So if we look at any questions, I know I'm talking a lot.
No, no, it's good so far. I don't see any on YouTube, and we have the, chat here with the Clear Vision Club on Zoom afterwards. But yeah, we have about 10 more minutes for you.
Okay, I'm going to go fast. And just know that this stuff lands when it lands, and I'm not expecting anybody to remember, but I am expecting to get you a little bit curious and get you curious. That's really.
Can I say one thing, Julie?
Yes.
Really, I know you didn't talk about the theme yet. When you look on the left where it says satisfaction, frustration.
Yes.
That was such a driver when I offered a program, and I was so happy and satisfied in the beginning of COVID. And then eventually I got really frustrated with it. And I knew this was my theme. And I was like, oh, that simple gauge of like how I'm suddenly frustrated made me decide to close the program. And it was great. It was a good decision. It became part of my Clear Vision Club, right? It was a free thing I was teaching. And I think it's that alone, and like the strategy to respond, those two things have been so incredibly helpful, along with what you're going to share next. So keep going.
Well, and each one of the types has a theme, and it really is the thing that makes us aware of whether we're in alignment or not. So
exactly.
If you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you're going after satisfaction. You want to do the things in your life that make you satisfied, because when you're feeling satisfaction, your aura is sparkly. And when your aura is sparkly, your energy and your vibrancy is lit. And you draw people to you. And it's really the authentic you when you're in alignment and feeling satisfied as a generator or manifesting generator. When you're feeling frustrated, it's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's an awareness. It's an awareness that you're out of alignment. And it truly is a gift, just like the fear is a gift. When you're a projector, if you're out of alignment, you're feeling bitter. Bitter wasn't a word that I identified with as much as bitchy. I might feel bitchy. but what projectors are really supposed to follow, their signature is success. So for me, it's about doing things that make me feel successful. If that means pulling weeds, so I see instant gratification in my lawn and feel like I've accomplished something, that's going to raise my frequency and make me more sparkly. And as somebody that needs to be seen and acknowledged and recognized, I got to be as sparkly as I can. So if it makes me happier to be pulling weeds versus posting on Facebook that makes me curmudgeon-y, then I'm going to pull the weeds as part of my business plan. And that's an awareness. If you're a manifester and you're out of alignment, you're going to be angry. It tells you that you're not informing enough. And if you're a reflector and you're out of alignment, you're going to be disappointed. A reflector's life is supposed to be filled with surprise. And so they want to put themselves into situations and be in the world of childlike wonder. Okay. So going back to this idea of when we're frustrated, when we're angry, when we're bitter, when we're disappointed, these are all red flags that we're out of alignment, that we said yes to and no, that we made a choice that isn't really what we wanted to do or correct for who we are. And the same thing happens with these awareness centers. So if we look at gate 44, gate 44 is all about seeing patterns. Being able to see patterns, being alert enough to be able to see a pattern, and to know that you can pattern interrupt, because a pattern is just a pattern. But if we get caught in the fear of pattern, then we're caught in the fear of the past. This gate represents the fear of the past. So it's having such a keen awareness of how patterns work that we can get pulled into, it happened before, it's going to happen again. I've been here before, it's going to happen again. My mother had this, my sister had, it's going to happen again. Fear of the past repeating itself. That's the shadow side of this particular gate. The gift of this particular gate is awareness of pattern. Oh, I've seen this before, but I'm much more aware now. I have tools and techniques. I've taken this class. I have that you have the ability to interrupt the pattern and shift the storyline to create something new. Does this make sense to you? Does this show up?
This is exactly, it's so interesting.
Pattern interrupter or fear of past. And if you're stuck in the fear of past, then you're not going to take action. You're going to let the mental craziness take over, and it keeps you stuck. It keeps you stuck. And those visions and dreams aren't going to come into fruition because you're stuck in the fear of the past and the pattern repeating itself. Versus the gift of what that is, which is you have the ability to transform, transmute, mutate, all of those words based on your awareness of pattern. Okay. When we move over to gate 4, which is in the transits right now, gate 4, and this happens to be my design Mars, gate 4. Your design Mars is your desk work. It's what you're here to be talking about. And so it just so happens that we're supposed to be talking about gate 4 today, or at least I am, and you have it too. Gate 4 is all about forgiveness. And even more than anything else, it's all about possibility thinking. Because what human design teaches us is that this is the science of differentiation. There are so many layers to who we are individually. There's so many different perspectives out there. There's so many different ways of navigating our life, and it's just possibilities. But when we get so stuck and rigid in how things have to be, and if those things or that person doesn't show up the way that we wanted them to be, then we get stuck in our negative juju and our mental like, versus this is a world of possibilities. I have an obsession of moving furniture around. My family thinks I'm crazy.
Oh God, my sister does that too. Like that's
drives them crazy. However, let me tell you something. I have never put it back. Like I've changed it so much, and it's never been the same way. And what I think it represents for me is there's so many different ways of doing it, so many different ways of looking at it. And when I put this picture on that wall, oh, I never noticed it had that before. So it opens me up to possibility. But there's also the awareness that when we live in the world of possibility, then we lose that chaotic, negative juju conversation that goes on that keeps us stuck. So this gate 4's fear is the fear of chaos, and that it doesn't stop, and that we get pulled into this negative thing, versus perspective and different way of doing things, different way of formalizing, making things happen, different perspectives, unique perspective, possibility thinking, or being stuck in the chaos of the mind, fear, chaos of the mind, which doesn't get us anywhere, that keeps us back from living our dreams. And the mind, the ajna, is the most powerful because thoughts create emotions, which is where we're going next. The solar plexus. Oh, I'm so mad at him. I can't believe he did that again. I can't believe he put the na. That makes me pissy and bitchy. And when I'm pissy and bitchy, that pissy and bitchy is going to go out into the ethers and pull more things back into my life to show me pissy and bitchy. But when I go into the world of possibility, oh, well, maybe if we do it this way, then it opens me up. And I feel more joyful. And when I feel more joyful, I'm vibrating more sparkly. And when I'm more sparkly is going out into the ethers and bringing more sparkly into my life. Okay. So our thoughts are so important. And this is where the manifestation really matters, the creativity of the emotion. So we're going to look at gate 55. Abundance of spirit, abundance of spirit. Claudia has this magical energy about her that's all about trust and faith and hope and magic and creativity. And it's all going to be okay if she's living in her abundance of spirit. But if she's in the fear of that gate, fucking sucks. It's not going to work. This doesn't, I like, forget about it. I'm done. I have nothing. I'm going, right. It's fear of darkness. It's lack. It's not trusting. It's not having faith versus being in the magic of possibility and understanding that there's ebbs and flows, and that's just nature, and that it's all part of it. The dull is not a bad thing. It's just that you're waiting for the next flow to come. So really having a relationship and awareness of how these different aspects of who we are play out in our vision, play out in our ability to manifest. Okay. Does that make sense? I know that we're at time, but I hope that that was enough to give you a little bit of information. I could talk about this all day.
I know it's so fascinating because like you really understand why sometimes you're in that downward spiral, why things are not working, why things are hard versus easy and effortless, which we always talk about with eyesight or vision. It's like, it's easy and effortless, and really understanding my chart. And I do want to work with you more to get even deeper into that, because I can have 100% relate about what you said about the ajna and the spleen, the spleen, the emotional aspect, so 100% on target. It's like, first I was like skeptical about this whole thing. And I'm like, wow, this is just incredibly accurate. It's just crazy how somebody could have developed this whole thing. It's just amazing.
It's fascinating. Yeah. And when I do readings for people, it's either that it's a confirmation of who they are, or it shows them that they're so off. And there's the really, or the understanding of what their potential is and what they're meant to be. But awareness is the first step. And none of this is bad. Fear is a motivator. Fear puts us into action. Fear teaches us that we need to surrender and that we need to trust. It's the meaning that we're giving the things in our lives that either put us on track or take us off track. And this really is a conversation of vision. And vision is about being in alignment. And a human design chart is a tool that can help us get into alignment so that we can create our visions and dreams and live.
I want to close with one thing that I know, like just a couple of minutes. So the profile where it says for 6 opportunistic role model, when I heard that, I'm like on the 6th floor or something of the house. I'm like, on top of the role model. And I was like, I was this kind of shy kid with glasses. I was teased and bullied. I was like super insecure, like zero confidence, like just doing a book report in front of the class was like literally weeks of night sweats and, nightmares and not being able to sleep. Like for me, being the role model was the exact opposite of my childhood. And when I, and I've gotten confirmation as I was teaching, right? As I was teaching yoga and this, and you're like, you're great. And you're like, really, like, I still couldn't believe it. And then I saw my human design chart. I'm like, oh, it does make sense. It was like you talked about in the beginning, how the actual design is 88 days before birth. And then all that stuff that happened when I was born. And I'm not saying it was a horrible childhood. My parents were lovely, but just the glass, that's why everybody's like, why are you so, why are glasses, like not wearing them, so important to you? And it's part of that whole being smushed into something that I'm not and really feeling bad, literally for years. I actually tried to commit suicide. It was that bad. So, not trying, I was thinking about it. It was more in the head, but I had all these plans laid out.
Well, that's that gate 4, like spinning into the negativity. And the role model, the 6, has three different periods in their life. So that first 30 years where you're going through that, you're collecting data. You are in your
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Life. And then from 30 to about 50, you're up on the roof observing and seeing how everybody is navigating life. And then when you get to about 50, you come off the roof. You've got this experiential learning and like with your glasses, whatever. You've got that observational learning where you're observing everybody else. And then you have the two pulled together and you come off of the roof with this wisdom and knowledge that you now are presenting and sharing with your community and the world. And that role model is not only stepping into the role of being a role model, it first starts with you being a role model for yourself.
Yeah.
Because we can't role model to others unless we role model for ourselves first. So
100%. I still have some work to do in that area, but
right. It's an ongoing thing, but you're doing it. At least you're taking the initiative with the work that you do and the knowledge that you bring and share. You're doing it. Some people don't. And that's what I said at the beginning. You got to look at the stuff. The only way out is to go in and to understand. And that childhood experience is what's given you the purpose that you have now. It all ties together.
Totally. Yes. Right. So how can people work with you? Tell us before we get off here. How do we,
You can email me at julie@creativeawakening.me. I've got a new program that I'm going to be launching in September that I'm just telling your community about, inspired by you, called Insight and Flow, where we're going to go through the chart and look at your chart more individually. Only 12 people, and we're really going to use it as an opportunity to learn about who we are, connect with other people, because we learn about ourselves through connection. That's starting up in September. I also do readings. I work, do deep dives with people one-on-one. I have a lot of different offerings, and really the best thing to do is reach out to me and jump on what I call a clarity call, and I can get to know you and kind of guide you in the right direction if you're interested in learning more.
I just put that into the YouTube chat. Not about the program in September. I don't have a link for that, but I guess when the people talk to you in a consultation, then, you know, maybe that's a way, right? For them.
That's the way we'll talk about it, and I'll give them more information.
Great. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing. I know, and I want everybody listening or watching this replay on YouTube. Like I said, I started a certification, and it's like, it feels like, wow, there's this flash flood of information, but just if you just get the simple things like your type or the strategy authority, just those little nuggets have already helped me so much. You don't even need to understand everything else in the beginning, really.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to, and that's exactly it. And I am a super fan, and we'll talk to anybody about this all day, every day. I can pull your chart for you, so reach out to me. I'm here.
And there's lots of free resources like Human Design America and other websites where you can get your free chart, but you do need to know your birth time. I actually had to call my mom. I'm like, when was I born? And she said something with 11. You have to be pretty accurate. So that's the thing that you need. Otherwise, it's, you know, you can get your chart for free, but you don't understand, like what Julie was just starting to scratch the surface on all the different things. And then the free chart doesn't give you everything. It just gives you some basics. So yeah, but you have the chart, which is what you can go off of once, you know. Right. Thank you so much, Julie. We're going to end the YouTube live now. Bye, YouTube. This was lovely. Thank you, Julie, for being here. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, because we have more awesome guests like Julie coming.